Hello, I'm Dr. Bhargavi and I'll be explaining the regulation of kidney function in this video. Now, the function of the kidney is effectively monitored and regulated by hormonal feedback mechanism involving the hypothalamus, juxtaglomerular apparatus, and to some extent the heart. So, the two main regulatory mechanisms are maintenance of blood osmolarity and maintenance of blood pressure. So the first one, which is maintenance of blood osmolarity. Now there are certain osmoreceptors which are located in the hypothalamus, which gets activated whenever there is a decrease in the blood volume or blood fluid volume or ionic concentration. So now this osmoreceptors is going to trigger the release of antidiuretic hormone, which is also called as vasopressin. Now this vasopressin is going to increase the permeability in the collecting duct as well as the distal convoluted tubule. So there is going to be resorption of water, which is going to take place, and there is the water balance or the fluid balance is going to be maintained. That means homeostasis. This is the first mechanism. The second mechanism is the that is maintenance of blood pressure. So now this is also called as the renin angiotensin mechanism. So whenever there is a decrease in the volume of blood, when there is a decrease in the blood pressure, so these juxtaglomerular cells are going to be activated and they cause the release of an enzyme called as renin. Now this renin enzyme is going to cause the conversion of angiotensinogen in blood to angiotensin 1. Now, this angiotensin 1 is again converted into angiotensin 2. So, this angiotensin 2 acts as a powerful vasoconstrictor, which is going to again increase the BP and hence the glomerular filtrate rate comes back to normal. Apart from that, this angiotensin 2 is also going to stimulate the release of aldosterone, which causes the resorption of sodium and water from the distal convoluted tubule, which in turn brings back the blood pressure and hence there is increase in BP. Coming to the next part, which is micturition. Now, urine formation by the nephron is ultimately carried to the urinary bladder where it is stored till a voluntary signal is given by the central nervous system. Now, this signal is initiated by the stretching of the urinary bladder as it gets filled with urine. The response, the stretch receptors on the wall of the bladder send signal to the central nervous system. Now, the central nervous system passes a motor message to initiate the contraction of the smooth muscles of the bladder and simultaneously relaxing the urethral sphincters, causing the release of urine. Now, this process of release of urine is called as micturition, and the neural mechanism causing it is called as micturition reflex. An adult human excretes on an average 1 to 1.5 liters of urine a day. The urine formation is light yellow in color, watery fluid, which is slightly acidic with a pH of 6 and has a characteristic odor. On an average of 25 to 30 gram of urea is excreted out per day. Various conditions can affect the characteristic of urine. Analysis of urine helps in clinical diagnosis of many metabolic disorders as well as malfunctioning of the kidney. For example, if there is glucose, excess amount of glucose is going to be excreted in urine, it is called as glucoseuria, or excess of ketone bodies which is excreted in urine, it is called as ketonuria. So another one which is not mentioned over here is if there's blood which is excreted in urine, which is called as hematuria, heme indicating blood. So this is what exam happens. So the urinary bladder keeps on storing the urine, and there is going to be stretching of the bladder, the smooth muscles of the bladder. The stretch receptors are going to be stimulated. It sends a signal to the central nervous system. The central nervous system is going to send motor signals back, which is going to cause the constriction of these smooth muscles and relaxation of these splinters, and hence there is going to be micturition. And the reflex, that is this process is called as micturition, and the reflexes, that is the central nervous system, the command and all, is called as micturition reflex. Now, role of other organs in excretion. So the kidney is not the only organ which plays an important role in excretion. We have other organs such as the lung, liver, as well as skin. So let's start with one by one. We start with the lung, which removes large amount of carbon dioxide as well as significant quantities of water every day. The second, including the liver, the largest gland in the body, secretes bile containing substances such as bilirubin, biliverdin, cholesterol, degraded steroid hormones, vitamins, and drugs. Most of these substances pass out along with digestive waste. Third is skin. Now, the sweat and sebaceous gland in the skin can eliminate certain substances through their secretion. Sweat produced by the sweat gland is watery fluid containing sodium chloride, small amounts of urea and lactic acid. And the sebaceous gland eliminates certain substances such as sterols, hydrocarbons, and waxes through sebum. Now, this secretion provides a protective oily covering over the skin. So this is the excretory organ. We have skin, where urea, water, excess of water and salts comes out through sweat. Then we have lung, obviously the most easy one thing which is excreted is carbon dioxide. Liver, where we have, which produces bile, which contains a lot of breakdown of cholesterol. It also contains breakdown of the steroids and bilirubin, biliverdin, and as you all know, kidney, which is going to excrete urine. Now, disorders of the excretory system. So the first disorder is uremia. Now, malfunctioning of the kidney can lead to accumulation of urine in blood, which is highly harmful and can lead to kidney failure. So the treatment in such patients can be removal of the urea from the kidney by the process called as hemodialysis. Now, this method is a boon for thousands of uremic patients all over the world. The second treatment method is kidney transplant, where it's an ultimate method of correction of the acute renal failure, that is kidney failure, where a functional kidney is used in transplantation from a donor, preferably a close relative, to minimize the chance of rejection by the immune system of the host. So this is a picture of hemodialysis. So basically what happens is that the blood is removed from the body. We have heparin which is infused. Now it goes on through dialysis which contains cellophane paper, where again the impurities are going to be removed, and then afterwards it passes on, removes all the air embolism and etc., and then again the clean blood is entered into the patient. So this basically acts as an artificial kidney. Now, the next disorder is renal caliculi, which is basically stones or insoluble masses of crystalline salts, such as oxalates, which are formed in kidney. Now, as you can see over here, these are the caliculi. Okay, so this is going to produce intense abdominal pain. The next is glomerular nephritis, which is basically the inflammation of the glomeruli of the kidney. Now, we already know that the nephron is the basic unit of kidney, and the nephron is divided into two categories. We have the glomerular Bowman's capsule, which forms the Malpighian body, and PCT, DCT, loop of Henle collecting duct. Now, we also know that except for loop of Henle, everything else is there in the cortex. So, as obviously most of this, which is there glomerular of the kidney, that is this part that is majority in the cortex, is going to be inflamed of the glomeruli and smaller blood vessels. Now, just ending with certain functions of kidney. So we have kidney, apart from excretion, that is the metabolic end products, removal of urea and creatinine. It also helps in maintenance of calcium balance and activation of vitamin D. Also, it helps in maintaining the water balance, removal of sodium, maintenance of blood pressure, regulation of pH, etc. That's all. Thank you.